Welcome to the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show, a real estate investment program. Listen and learn how to use real estate to build wealth and passive income streams for you and your family. We bring you experts every day to discuss and answer your questions on everything from single-family homes all the way up to 600-plus unit apartment complexes. And now, the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show.
Welcome to the show. Hope everybody's doing well out there. I'm your host, Mike Harrison. I want to thank you for tuning in this morning. We have quite a bit to unpack today. We're going to discuss being prepared for what life throws at us. And later in the show, I'll touch on some post-storm tips, so you'll want to tune in for the entire hour. In the meantime, if you have any questions, or you're a property owner yourself, you're in a tight spot, you don't know what action to take or mitigation or what to do next, call us. Give me a call. I'd be happy to help you out live this morning, 855-497-4335, or send me an email, askmike@luinc.com. We're here to help, and I do respond personally to each and every email. Well, my friends, what a week it has been. Absolutely one for the record books. I hope all of you, again, are safe and sound and warming up. We're going to go from, -1, -3 degrees in some areas of the Metroplex to 70 degrees. Is that what I saw in the forecast here in the next couple of days? So, wow, what a spread, extreme to say the least. Well, the Harrisons were much more fortunate than most. I must say that first. We were able to stay warm. Unfortunately, we are on day 4 without water. We had a pipe burst. Should have that fixed today, hopefully. Prior to that, we had limited water as the pipes froze in some of our exterior wall bathrooms. Even though the water was left dripping, they still froze up. And it actually got so cold that we lost water in our kitchen for a day or two. And that sink is not on an exterior wall. That's a testament to just how cold it got here. It's also a testament to just how unprepared we were, how unprepared our infrastructure and our systems were. But again, we were much better off. Many people they suffered, they continue to suffer. Broken pipes have made people's homes unlivable. There's been fires. Power's been out for days for a lot of folks out there. Is it any coincidence that today's show is going to be about preparation, my friends? Preparation in a lot of different ways. I'd like to ask you a question. Have you ever felt woefully unprepared for a particular event in your life? I was not prepared for this storm. Our infrastructure, our systems were not prepared for this storm. Some catastrophes, like this Texas deep freeze, come upon us suddenly. We knew it was coming. I don't think a lot of us had any idea just what would unfold. But there's other catastrophes that come along in our life in many different shapes and forms, and I want to talk about those. Some come quickly, like this storm, right? Showed up in a couple of days. Some catastrophes take years or even decades to essentially reveal themselves. But this storm, I was not prepared for it in many ways, and I am not going to let that happen to my family again. My change starts now. So let's talk about some of the things that went awry. Food, for instance. This one kind of caught me by surprise. We had a full pantry. We had a full fridge. It's not like the Harrisons went hungry by any means. But the grocery stores, there was no resupply because the roads were so frozen you couldn't drive on them, so icy, so naturally the resupply. Combine that with panic buying, and all the decent food in the stores was gone, the fresh vegetables, the meats, etc. There were still canned goods, but the rice and beans wiped out, right? But, and the junk food was there. Many people or many stores actually had to throw food away And I need to read more about that. I think there's a rule that says if the power goes out, they can't give the food away, like the eggs and the milk, the items that'll spoil. They have to actually throw it away, which that's somewhat of a tragedy in itself. Water. We filled up a few tubs and several containers with water as the big freeze came over us. That saved us in a lot of ways. I learned that decades ago from my father. We grew up in the hurricane areas along the coast, and so the water's going to go out. So we did that, but there's a lot of people that did not do that. Another thing, cash. I should have had more cash on hand. Why? Well, a lot of these stores lost power. I was actually in a hardware store, and I needed something to fix here in the house, and they led me in with a flashlight because their electricity was off. They were still doing business, but it was cash only. Okay, that was in a lot of places. A lot of grocery stores were cash only because the computers were down. Okay, and due to the power being out, gasoline. You couldn't pump gasoline because all the pumps run on an electrical grid. Okay, so you can see how this storm revealed what this tragedy could be 10 times worse. What if this continued? What if this crisis went on for 2 weeks, 3 weeks? 5 weeks. How many of us out there would be okay? And how many of us would be reliant upon neighbors, friends, outside resources, or worse, government assistance, right? The government. My friends, you never want to be dependent upon outside assistance or government assistance for any reason. Any reason. Your safety, your prosperity, your health, your retirement, because the government does none of those things well at all. Health, free health care. The freer health care gets, the worse it will get, my friends, because decisions won't be made for the individual. They will be made on a financial requirement. So, my friends, we're going to continue. We're going to talk about independence and achieving the means to be independent when we come back. My name is Mike Harrison. This is the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show.
We're back with the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show. We're here to answer your questions and help you become financially free.
Welcome back to the show. I'm your host, Mike Harrison. I hope everybody starting to thaw out and doing well out there and staying safe and warm and dry. And we're discussing preparation for these disasters that life throws at us. And later in the show, I'm going to touch on some post-storm tips for property owners. So you want to stick with me. In the meantime, if you have any questions, our number is 855-4974-335, or feel free to send me an email, askmike@luinc.com. We're here to help. Have you ever felt woefully unprepared for a particular event in your life? This past week has reminded me, it's reminded all of us just how fragile our economy really is, how fragile our systems are, our power, our utilities. It's reminded me how ridiculous our politicians on both sides are. These people are not leaders. They're con artists, in my opinion, and their sole mission is to stir the pot, divide everybody, make all these little subgroups hate one another, and while you're busy hating, they're busy getting rich. So, my friends, is there any clearer reasons, I'm thinking about the last week, why you need to find a way to become independent? You need to control your own future, because disasters will come at us from all directions, and there are all shapes and forms of disasters. There's weather-related disasters. We just experienced one here in Texas. There's hurricanes, there's floods, there's fires. There's health disasters. There are absolutely health disasters, and many of those are preventable, provided you make the preparation and you make the changes in your life today to prevent those. There are financial disasters. 2 out of every 70-year-old, 70 to 74-year-old, 2 out of 5 of those, 20%, are still working, right? That's a financial disaster. Now, there are some 70-year-old folks that work because they want to and they're financially free. They're the exception, not the rule. There are a lot of people that will have to work until the day they die because financially they didn't make the preparation. Okay, there's a lot of people suffering out there because, 50% of everybody has less than $5,000 to their name? That's their net worth. So broken pipes, how's that working out for people? Those are expensive. So there are financial disasters that come at you in many ways, forms, and some aren't relevant. They take decades to reveal themselves. You may not realize this, but Lifestyles Unlimited was founded because Dale Walmsley was sick and tired of not having control of his financial destiny. He was working 65 to 80-hour weeks. Why? Purposely he was, to earn additional income. And everything he was living below his means, and everything additional he was earning, he was investing in the stock market, okay? Pouring it in there, working himself to the bone week after week after week for years. And he was putting in the stock market so he could retire at a young age. He didn't want to be old and his body destroyed by the time he was finally free to really live life to the fullest. What happened? Well, there's a name for it. It's called Black Monday. It was the stock market crash, October 19th, 1987. It took the economy 2 years to recover from Black Monday. That's the economy. What about all the folks that lost a huge chunk of their net worth, essentially overnight? One day, I believe, Black Monday, that day, the crash continued over several days. But on one day, 22% of the stock market was gone. Boom. Dow Jones Industrial Average lost 22% in a single day. And that event marked the beginning of a global stock market decline. Black Monday is one of the most notorious days in financial history, my friends, and it wiped out Dale Walmsley. And he was done. At that moment, he says, I am done relying on others. He experienced a financial crisis, a disaster. And he looked at real estate. He found real estate. He looked at several things. It didn't just happen overnight, boom, real estate after the stock market. He started looking at everything. But he found real estate. And he formed and created Lifestyles Unlimited to teach others the model, the method to create passive income. And it's very simple, and anyone can do it. You can do it. I do it. I joined Lifestyles Unlimited in 2013. It was one of the best decisions I ever made in my life. I joined and I learned how to buy properties, rehab those properties, and rent them out to good people. Okay, and that provided additional passive income. One house, $500 a month. Next house, another $500 a month. Okay, I'm averaging. I had some that were actually creating more than $500 a month in passive income. But why did I join Lifestyles Unlimited? Why? Let's get to the why. Well, I needed a better path to financial freedom. Why? I had lived through 2 stock market corrections, and if you can see my hands, I'm doing the quotation marks around the word corrections in my life, 2 of them, and that term bothers me greatly because a correction assumes that something was wrong. So I guess it was wrong that the stock market was where it was at that portion of my life, so it was corrected. The first time was a young father. I'd been married for only 5 years, recently transferred to Corpus Christi. I was a corporate 401k believer. We did without to feed the 401k. And what hit me? Well, there's a name for it. The dot-com bubble, also known as the internet bubble. Wham! I mean, that was extremely destructive. It was eye-opening, but I was young enough, I didn't know any better, right? I just followed what they told you. Just keep investing, keep investing, keep investing. But at that time, I believe the stock market lost almost 77% or the NASDAQ lost 77%. It was a loss of billions of dollars. Now, I didn't have billions of dollars, but it hurt us. We had done without and poured it into the 401k in the stock market so that eventually we can have financial freedom, right? Because that's all we knew. That was the conventional plan. And that was just one of them that I went through. And so I continued, and we rebuild, and we keep putting, and it starts growing again. And then what happens? Well, there's a name for it. 2008 through 2010, they called it the housing crisis. And it was right then and there, I'd been punched in the face twice, that I said, I will be prepared for the next financial storm. So I made a change. And it was the best financial move I ever made. I created passive income. My wealth grows every year. It's reliable. It is a proven model of investing. My retirement is secure. Real estate investing, for me, became a defense against stock market crashes. My friends, how many of you are going to continue to invest in the stock market and not believe there's a giant, quote, correction in the future? Prepare today so that you can weather the storm tomorrow. My name is Mike Harrison. We'll be right back with the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show.
Welcome back to the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show. Now, let's get back to your map to financial freedom.
Welcome back to the show. My name's Mike Harrison. I want to thank you for tuning in. You're listening to the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show. We're talking about this storm. We're talking about preparation. We're talking about these crises that come across and come through our life in many different forms. I'll tell you this, we were very fortunate, my family. We were affected, and members of our family and their households were definitely affected, but there's a lot of people that are much, much worse off, and my heart goes out to those folks, and help's coming soon. You'll be okay. So I want to thank you for tuning in. But what a week it has been, my friends. What an incredible week. I believe even Galveston and south of Galveston, and I grew up not far from there on the coast, the temperature dropped below freezing and was in the teens and possibly even the single digits way down there for a few days at least. So that's this storm was amazing. We were woefully unprepared. My household personally was unprepared. This state was unprepared, and shame on us for not being more in tune with this. This isn't the first time something like this. Well, it may be the first time that it's gotten actually this cold, but I was listening to a meteorologist on a radio show, and he said that there have been Arctic fronts that have hit, and the temperatures have gotten into the single digits and the teens for a majority of the state for several days, and it's happened in the past. So it's not like this has never happened before. So people in charge of our systems and infrastructure for wherever the failures were, they can't say that, well, this has never happened. No, they weren't prepared. Are you prepared for the next storm? Because storms, there's all kinds. There's health. There's physical, there's sudden, there's financial, there's slow burns. You don't wake up and you're 200 pounds overweight the next morning. That takes time, right? It takes every day and months and years. Smoking all the time, and then suddenly people have lung cancer. That didn't just happen overnight, okay? That took decades to develop. People turn 70 years old and they don't have enough money to retire, and so they still have to work. That's a slow burn. That happened over time. That was poor planning, poor preparation. There are actions you can take to prepare and prevent those tragedies. And there are things you can do, right? There are things you can do today to prepare for the inevitable storm that will come tomorrow, the inevitable crisis that will come tomorrow. I invest in real estate, for me personally, because it's a hedge against financial ruin and reliability upon others. It is a hedge against that. It is a means of independence. It is a means of preparing for the future, creating that passive income that comes month in and month out, essentially in your sleep without having to work for it. That is a means of independence, my friends. And many members of Lifestyles Unlimited are of the same mindset. We invest in real estate to create that passive income, to grow that wealth, to have that hedge against having to rely upon others. So the best way to prevent a catastrophe are to prepare and plan. And that, as a group, that's a large part. My point is, that's a large part of the mindset of the members of Lifestyles Unlimited. And it's actually a large part of the mindset of real estate investors as a whole, as a group, whether you're a member of Lifestyles Unlimited or not. But what do we do at Lifestyles Unlimited? We care deeply about our properties and deeply about our residents. And for instance, this week, 3 items were sent out to our membership group from our Vice President, Lynn Murrow. And it was basically mitigating the storm, right? Mitigating the storm. One of those items was essentially, it's a 1-page cleaning up after water damage. And it's what you can do, and it's tips, and it's when you need to get involved with a remediation service, for instance, when it reaches that point. What are the requirements of us as property owners? And how can you prevent mold, right? Mold that comes after any sort of flood damage. There's a lot of flood damage going out there. So there was a tip sheet sent out on that and the best steps essentially to take on how to clean up the water and prevent that mold afterwards and fix and repair the property. Because again, we care deeply about our residents. Best property, best price. One of the other items was the title is Post-Storm Tips for Single-Family Rental Owners. And it was several pages. There's 5 parts to that. So is there any reason why Lifestyles Unlimited owners, members, are the best property owners, the best property owners in the country? Because we have a system, because we share information, because we find the best practices. And if you've got questions, send me an email. I'm happy to share. This is not insider information. I'm happy to share and help anybody, okay? You don't have to be a member of Lifestyles Unlimited. Send me an email. Ask Mike at luinc.com. Ask me a question. We're here to help. But the 5 parts of these post-storm tips for single-family investors. Part 1, communicate with your residents, okay? If you are self-managing, you need to communicate with your residents. Get in touch with them. Talk to them. Let them know what they can do to mitigate potential damage. And again, this came out last week. This came out as the storm was the beginning, the onset, okay? So this was preparation. This was planning. This was preparing. Part 2, assess the damage to your property. How to go about doing that. Tips, certain things about taking pictures, about keeping track of the expenses, things like that. Part 3, consider the cost versus benefit of hiring a public adjuster. If you do have a claim and the insurance company is involved, do you accept what they say? Or is there a point to where you may need to hire somebody to represent you? And if you don't know what a public adjuster is, you'll often see them referred to as a PA. When you have a claim on your property, the insurance company sends an adjuster out, and that adjuster assesses the damage, essentially assigns a cost to it, and that becomes your claim. Now, I love it when people say, well, I called my adjuster. No, you didn't call your adjuster. You called your insurance company's adjuster. That adjuster represents the insurance company. Sometimes you need an adjuster to represent you. I'm not saying every time, but there are situations to where maybe the insurance company's adjuster missed something or didn't quite assess the proper cost of the damage to your property. And so you can hire a public adjuster, a PA, who will represent you on the claim. Typically, if it's a large issue, a large property or a lot of damage, it makes sense to hire a PA. send me an email. I'm happy to discuss this with you. The next part of this post-storm tips for single-family rental owners, contact professionals to assist you. Professionals meaning qualified vendors, licensed plumbers. Okay, there's a lot of damage out there. You're going to need painters. You're going to need sheetrock people, roofers. There's a lot of roof damage because there's what's called ice dams. And those of you, if you're from up north, you know what an ice dam is. If you're from Texas, you probably don't know what an ice dam is. But an ice dam is where you have snow and ice along your eaves, and during the day, the sun comes out, and it melts underneath that snow and ice. And then at night, right, the sun sets, and we get back down into the single digits, and it freezes, and the ice dam will pop the shingles or blow your gutters out. Okay, so that's an ice dam, and then it will leak inside your house. So contact professionals to assist you. We're going to continue this discussion on preparation and planning. My name is Mike Harrison. This is the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show.
Warning. Listening to the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show will change your life. We will teach you how to create wealth and passive income so you can be financially free. And now, back to your host.
I hope everybody's safe and sound out there. What an insane week it's been with this. I don't even know if there's a name for it. I'm just going to call it the deep freeze of 2021, or the Texas deep freeze. And that's absolutely what we went through. We got blindsided, my friends, hammered. The state was woefully unprepared. And I'm going to tell you right now on this show, all of you listening, I was unprepared for this storm. I really was. And I don't mind saying that, but I'm changing today. I'm making a change today. I will not let this happen to my family again in the future. And that's one of the reasons why I joined Lifestyles Unlimited and learned how to invest in properties, how to buy homes, how to rehab homes and rent those out to great people and create passive income. Why? Well, I had gone through another financial crisis and I was tired. Dave Ramsey will say, I was sick and tired of being sick and tired. Well, that applies here. The two crises, the stock market, the dot-com bubble, and then the housing crisis essentially took me off my track of where I wanted to be retirement-wise. I was a 401k corporate guy and got hammered, and it took me a few years, but I did find Lifestyles Unlimited almost 8 years ago. Coming up here in April will be 8 years since I made the change, right? I was ready to make a change. I was not going to allow that to happen again. I was not going to allow a stock market correction to punch me in the face again, okay? If you keep doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different result is insanity. And I wasn't going to do the same thing over and over again. So we were talking about, before the break, and some items that were sent out to our members, because we're very effective and we share information with one another. That's what makes us such a strong group. That's what makes us the best real estate investors in the country. But one of these items was post-storm tips for single-family rental owners. I'm happy to help you out if you have questions, okay? If you are a property owner, send me an email, askmike@luinc.com. But the fourth item on this post-storm tips for single-family rental owners was contact professionals to assist you. Professionals, don't just call contractors willy-nilly and rely that, unfortunately, there's going to be some bad actors out there that are going to try to make a quick buck. Call or ask people for professionals. You're going to need plumbers, painters, irrigation companies. I'm sure that the irrigation systems, a lot of them probably have broken pipes, okay? Those are just PVC pipes in the ground, and they're not very deep. Sheetrockers, you're going to need interior people to put in new sheetrock, and painters. You're going to need roofers, gutter companies, pool companies. Swimming pools are frozen solid in all the piping and the equipment. A lot of that has been damaged. The last item, post-storm tips for single-family rental owners. Tax filing of insurance claim for the year. Remember, this is a business. Everything you spend repairing your property, every item, even your travel there, is a write-off. We don't invest in real estate and say, well, when there's damage, we're going to write it off. We know things are going to happen. They're going to come up. It is a write-off, okay? It is a cost to running a business. So it's very important that you keep accurate records, take pictures, but accurate records of everything you spend getting this property back up to speed for the resident. And then finally, and again, this was sent out to all of us last week, there's a link to a fantastic article. It's from the Association of Realtors, and the title of the article is, What Are Landlords' Responsibilities for Habitability After Weather Events? And this article actually came out February 19th. You can find it at texasrealestate.com in the member post section. But it's important to know what your responsibilities are as a good property owner. And I'll just read this first paragraph of it, but you can look this article up and it may help you. It says, a landlord must repair a condition if a tenant gives notice of a condition. The tenant is not delinquent in rent payment and the condition materially affects health or safety of the tenant or is due to the landlord's failure to supply hot water at a minimum temperature of 120 degrees Fahrenheit. Given recent weather, lack of heating as well as lack of hot water supply would materially affect the health and safety of tenants. There is a presumption that 7 days is a reasonable time to make repairs. Important information. We know this, but hot water is a requirement at your properties, okay? So if the pipes are broken and the hot water's out, but they still have cold water, no, you need to get that fixed. Be a good property owner. Get that fixed. But the article continues on what your responsibilities are if you don't already know those as a landlord. Again, is there any question that Lifestyles Unlimited members are the most effective property owners in the country? We are extremely successful at real estate investing. We share best practices. We share information. We have a team. We know who to call when the crisis hits. We're educated. We follow a model. We constantly strive for improvement, and we're proactive. How do you prevent a tragedy? Well, it's all on the front end, my friends. Preparation and planning. How do you think the uninformed landlords and property owners out there are doing? Well, probably not as good as we are. Who knows, right? Why take a chance? Let's discuss being prepared for a larger catastrophe, a financial catastrophe. I've lived through all kinds of once-in-a-lifetime events. I saw a meme about that the other day. It says something about I'm tired of living through once-in-a-lifetime events, but think about it. The dot-com bubble, 9/11, the housing meltdown of 2008 to 2010, that comes to mind. COVID last year, the Texas freeze of 2021. My friends, it's not if, it's when. Stop thinking that these are aberrations. Combined, I'm seeing a pattern. Something is going to come along. Something next is going to hit. Are you prepared for it? Are you prepared? You prevent the tragedy on the front end, not during. You prevent it on the front end. Might I suggest that having financial means will allow you to prepare and prevent the next tragedy? Why was Lifestyles Unlimited founded? Well, the stock market crash in 1987 wiped out a large portion of Dale Walmsley's net worth. He was done. He said, I'm tired of not being able to control my financial freedom, my financial future, my financial destiny. Why do we create passive income? To buy back our time. To create long-term reliable income that is not job dependent. Tax advantages. We just talked about the fact that these claims are going to be a write-off on your taxes, okay? Be sure you track those. Create generational wealth. That's what we're doing. Creating generational wealth. We want to lessen our vulnerability to job change, job loss, recession, reduction, and we want to create a legacy. So why do we choose real estate? So that's the next, if you're going through and you want to do these things, okay, I need to be independent. So I'm going to create some passive income. And here's why I'm going to create the passive income. So how am I going to do that? Well, we do that through real estate. And that's what we can teach you here at Lifestyles Unlimited. We can teach you how we make money. We choose real estate because it's the best vehicle. Real estate is what presented itself as the best means to create the generational wealth, to create the passive income. Why? Well, it's easy. It's replicable. It's predictable. It's extremely safe. Again, every house we own earns us income 5 ways. Every apartment community we own actually makes money for us 6 ways. The returns are massive. I was looking at a private placement memorandum the other day, and it's triple digits over 5 years. It's an incredible investment by a very proven lead. I'm not worried about my passive stuff. I'm worried about my single-family properties. But my passive stuff, I hand it over to them. Here's my investment. I am partial owner, 1%, 1.5% of this apartment community. I'm with a group of like-minded individuals. We agree with your assessment of the property. Here's our money. Go put it to work for us. So that's what being a passive investor is all about. But real estate is the vehicle that we choose. And if you're interested in seeing what we do, you need to attend our free workshop. freeworkshoplivestream.com, freeworkshoplivestream.com. I hope everybody's safe and sound out there, but I want you to remember, it's not the money, it's the lifestyle. Make it a great day.
The Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show is for entertainment purposes only. Please consult a professional regarding your personal investment needs. Nothing presented on the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show constitutes an endorsement, recommendation, offer, or solicitation to buy or sell any product or security.